Good morning, everyone. We're ready to begin. Good morning. My name is Enrique Cabral. Esther Stouthammer, along with me, will be chairing today's session number 5, Impacts and Hazards. And we'll start with the presentation by Bertolini, Cultural Heritage and Subsidence, the emblematic case study of Santa Croce in Ravenna, Italy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yours is yours.
I think I have this one working. Thank you very much. Okay, Bertolini is my colleague. My name is Michela Marchi, and I'm a geotechnical engineer from the University of Bologna. And in this presentation, I'm going to talk about the case study of Santa Croce, which is an emblematic problem of preservation of historic building, of a building which is located in a lowland area, significantly affected by natural and anthropic land subsidence. Okay, so Santa Croce is located in the city center of Ravenna. Ravenna is, here we are, in the northeast of Italy. And this town became capital of the Western Roman Empire from the beginning of the 15th century. In this period, a number of religious monuments were built, and in particular, they are characterized by precious marbles and wonderful mosaics. 8 of these early Christian monuments are now part of the very well-known UNESCO World Heritage Site. The archaeological area of Santa Croce and the church, which is shown in this picture, belongs to a buffer zone of this well-known World Heritage Site. And in particular, it is adjacent to the Basilica of San Vitale that you can see in this picture, and is also visible in the background of this photo, and to the Mausoleum of Galla Placidia, which is behind the church there. Okay, so here is a map. In pink, in the pink area, you can see the location of Santa Croce. Then in the light blue area here, the Basilica of San Vitale, and then Mausoleum of Galla Placidia in yellow. Both the Mausoleum of Galla Placidia and San Vitale are open to tourists, while Santa Croce has always been closed, and the archaeological area that you can see here in the picture is visible only from the surrounding street, which crosses here around the area. So now, let me tell you something more about the history of this church and the evolution of its construction. Actually, it was built on the remains of a Roman domus. The Roman domus was built in the 3rd century, and its mosaics that are visible in this picture are preserved on the site. The structure underwent a lot of modification during its history, and here you can see the phases of its construction. Let me go in these details just a bit more, and let me tell you that the original structure of Santa Croce was built 1 meter above the Roman pavements. The red, if you look at the picture, the red line here, okay, there. Then, immediately after the construction, the church was enlarged, and in particular, the north here and south Sacellum were built. You have to notice that the south Sacellum, this little chapel, is now Galla Placidia. Then, between the 16th and the 17th century, the structure partly collapsed, and was demolished. The facade was moved back, and a new bell tower and an apse there were built. Now, all these information came from archaeological excavations. Okay, and these excavations also provided the levels of the old pavements. Why I say that, why it's so important, and they are sketched in this picture. These pieces of information are particularly relevant if we compare them with respect to the same reference point. I mean, if we consider the mean sea level with respect to this position. And in fact, in this picture, you can see that the Roman pavement is about 2.2 meters below the mean sea level, while the current ground level, which is the black line here, is about 1.5 meters above. It means that the distance now between the current ground level and the Roman pavements is more than 3.5 meters, okay? And you saw that the excavation arrived now at this level. So let's consider this condition with respect to the land subsidence in this area. And in this picture that is taken from Teatini et al. 2005, you can see the rate of settlement with time. And in particular, in this first here picture, you can see that in the city center of Ravenna, in the first half of the 20th century, yes, the rate of settlement was about 5.5 millimeters per year. Then it reached a peak at the beginning of the 70s that was about 80 millimeters per year, not so much as in the Silicon Valley, sorry, but still it's bad when you have the water here, okay? So, and the causes of this increase of rate of this year was found basically in the groundwater pumping for industrial and civil uses from the deep aquifers, and to a lesser extent from gas extraction. Okay, this is a different representation of the elevation of a benchmark in the city center of Ravenna with time. The benchmark which is considered in this picture is connected to Porta Adriana, which is this place here, not far from Santa Croce. And you can see that the corrective measures taken at the beginning of the 70s in this area of Italy were effective, and basically they aim at reducing water and gas withdrawal. At present, this is not update, but we know that at present, the land subsidence in this area is approaching the natural rate of settlement, which is something more than 1 millimeters per year, okay? However, the cumulated land subsidence in the Santa Croce area, as you can see also from this picture, that was cumulated during the last century, is higher than 1.3 meters. Okay? This has irreversibly reduced the relative distance between the water table in the town and the ground level. And now we have a problem of fruition of our historic monuments and preservation. Okay, and this is the problem that we have in Santa Croce. Okay, so let me go back now to our case study. This light blue line here is the position of the natural groundwater table, while the ground level is up here. So 1.5 meters is the distance now in this site between the groundwater table and the ground level. And this archaeological area is kept dry thanks to a drainage system that was built at the end of the 1970s. And this system is composed by hydraulic pumps. These pumps are permanently active during the day, okay, night and day. And in fact, you can see that during a breakdown of the pumps of August 2021, the area was completely flooded. We tried to find information about how this drainage system was made, and we found out that it consists of perforated tubes, the red lines here, and 3 wells, P1, P2, and C1. So the water flows from P1 to C1, and in C1 we have 2 submerged pumps which lift the water up to the public sewer. Okay? These are 2 pictures taken from the archives and they were photos taken during construction of the system, photos of the wells. Now, unfortunately, due to the lack of maintenance of this area, the system and the tubes are locally obstructed, and so the water basically runs in this area on the ground surface and erodes particles of soils. This causes severe settlements of the archaeological remains, especially in the area where the pumps are located, and also local instabilities of the nearby slope here. In addition, many times in the past, the pumps break down and the area is flooded with an intensive growth of aquatic vegetation or mosaics. So in order to face these issues, we perform a geotechnical investigation campaign to start finding information, and we install a monitoring system. The findings were found through a European project known as Shelter. And in this map, here. In this map, you can see geotechnical investigation of the 2022, together with indication of some older investigation done in the past, but they were more focused on San Vitale and Galla Placidia structures. Considering the results of the field investigation, the soil profile was defined, and in particular, it consists of about 5 meters of anthropic fill, which is rich in archaeological remains. Then we find the first aquifer, which is a clay sand up to a depth of 22 meters. The first aquifer is divided from the second one by 5 meters, more or less, of high plasticity clay, this layer. In order to install a monitoring system and to control groundwater level variation in this area, we install 5 open-hole piezometers, which are these vertical blue lines, 5 of them in the first aquifer and 1 in the deeper aquifer. Now, let's have a look to the results of the first year of monitoring. In this picture, you can see the piezometric head here as a function of time, and on your right, the cumulative precipitation, which are these blue vertical lines here. As you can see from the monitoring data, the first aquifer, the shallowest, is very sensitive to local precipitation, and in particular, the piezometer installed in the first aquifer are the violet one, the orange, and the red. And pore water pressures are particularly reduced in the point which is closer to the pumps, which is shown by this red line, okay? This is the piezometer close to the well in which the pumps are located. If we consider the piezometer, which is close to Galla Placidia, so a bit more far away from the area where the drainage system is active, this piezometer is the violet one, and you can see that this is still very much affected by withdrawal. Okay, the here you can see this line, the green line. This shows the trend of pore water pressure in the deep aquifer. And you can see that the waterhead in the second aquifer tends to the natural water table because the level of the undisturbed water table is this black dashed line here. Anyway, we can quite clearly see that there is an upward seepage flow from the deep aquifer to the shallowest one, so they are connected. Okay, so what we are going to do now is to consider this data in order to devise the best strategy for preservation of this historic site. And I think that this is a very interesting case, an application, in which we have to consider preservation of historic building in the framework of lowland areas affected by subsidence. In the next future, what we are going to do, we have just started, is also to consider effects of climate change in this area with particular reference to the saline intrusion, doing tests on the water collected from these piezometers, and the effect of drought on piezometric levels that we are recording now. That's all. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Is there any question? Here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your presentation. I wonder if you have any mitigation measurements to reduce the settlements related to water changes.
So as you saw from the picture, now the settlement due to subsidence is very small. At present, is 1 millimeter per year. So these do not really affect the preservation of the site. Now, the problem is that we already have the water here in the archaeological area, okay? So basically, what we have to do now is to restore, to improve the drainage system, and in order to be sure that the area will be, protected and can be used by the local authorities and people who visit this site. But in terms of reduction of settlement, actually, I think that if we we do the maintenance that is required for the site, that the local evidence of differential settlement in the area will disappear. Okay, now it is a problem, the fact that you saw this differential settlement is related to the fact that the system is not working, so it is eroding soil particles. So we are now designing the strategy to improve the drainage system in order to be sure that everything works correctly, and I think that will be useful. I hope I answered your question.
Well, thank you very much. I think we're moving to the next presentation. Thank you very much, Michela.